Hello everyone, welcome to KK Human Anatomy and Physiology videos, a platform where you will get interesting facts about human anatomy and physiology. In this video, we are going to cover the nervous system. Nervous system in humans is well developed and complex. It is broadly classified into three parts: central nervous system, which includes brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system consists of cranial nerves and spinal nerves, and autonomic nervous system consists of sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. In this image, you will get clear idea about the three parts of nervous system: central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and autonomic nervous system. Let's start with central nervous system, that is CNS. As we have discussed earlier, brain and the spinal cord are the parts of CNS. Brain is enclosed within a brain box called cranium of the skull, whereas the spinal cord occupies vertebral canal of vertebral column. So the brain is protected under the cranium of the skull and the spinal cord is protected under vertebral column. Inner to this bony coverings, there are three protective membranes called meninges. These meninges protect the brain and spinal cord. These three membranes called meninges are dura mater, arachnoid mater, and pia mater. Dura mater is the outermost tough, non-vascular, thick and fibrous meninges and is attached to the inner side of the cranium. It is separated from the underlying arachnoid matter by the subdural space filled with a serous fluid. Arachnoid matter is the middle, thin and non-vascular layer of connective tissues having web-like appearance. Here you can see subarachnoid space. In this region, there are large number of fine filaments called arachnoid trabeculae are present. It is separated from the pia mater below by a narrow subarachnoid space filled with CSF, that is cerebrospinal fluid. Pia mater is the innermost delicate highly vascular membrane lies in close contact with CNS. If you want to learn more about meninges, then you will find its video link in the top I button as well as in description. Now let's talk about CSF, that is cerebrospinal fluid. Cerebrospinal fluid is a clear, colorless body fluid found within the tissue that surrounds the brain and spinal cord. It is slightly alkaline fluid with a specific gravity of 1.005. A total of 100 to 200 cc of CSF is present in and around the central nervous system. If we talk about the functions of CSF, then it includes protection. CSF acts as a cushion for the brain, limiting neural damage in cranial injuries. It provides basic mechanical and immunological protection to the brain inside the skull and protects the brain tissue from injury when jolted or hit by providing a fluid buffer that acts as a shock absorber from some forms of mechanical injury. Another important function of CSF is chemical stability. It creates an environment for proper functioning of the brain. For example, it maintains low extracellular potassium for synaptic transmission. The actual mass of the human brain is about 1400 to 1500 grams. However, the net weight of the brain suspended in CSF is equivalent to a mass of 25 to 50 grams. This prevents excessive pressure on the base of the brain. CSF allows for the removal of waste products from the brain. Metabolic waste products diffuse rapidly into CSF and are removed into the bloodstream as CSF is absorbed. So basically where the CSF is produced, in this image you can see ventricles. These ventricles are the structures that produce cerebrospinal fluid and transport it around the cranial cavity. They are lined by ependymal cells which form a structure called the choroid plexus. In this image, you can see the choroid plexus. Within this choroid plexus, CSF is produced. Thus, the CSF is secreted by the pia mater, the choroid plexus, and the ependymal cells lining the ventricles of the brain and central canal of spinal cord. The majority of CSF is produced from the two lateral ventricles, right and left lateral ventricle. In this lateral and anterior view, you can see both the right and left lateral ventricle as well as the third ventricle and the fourth ventricle. See, this is the MRI showing pulsation of CSF. See the arrows in this image. CSF moves in a single outward direction from the ventricles, but multidirectionally in the subarachnoid space. Fluid movement is pulsatile, matching the pressure waves generated in blood vessels by the beating of the heart. CSF pulsations have been recognized for many years. Most observers have regarded these pulsations as a reflection of the arterial pulse wave. In addition, there is a superimposed rise and fall in cerebrospinal pressure associated with respiration. If you want more details about CSF, then click on this top I button. CSF is continuously generated by ependymal cells lining the ventricles and a central canal, and simultaneously drained out of the brain into the bloodstream. CSF moves through ventricles before it drains out and gets absorbed into your bloodstream. Look at this image. This is the normal ventricular system. There are some cases in which CSF cannot drain properly. The fluid pressure may cause the ventricles to swell. This condition is called as hydrocephalus. Hydro meaning water and cephalus referring to the head. It is described as a water on the brain. The water is actually CSF. When an injury or illness alters the circulation of CSF, one or more of the ventricles becomes enlarged as CSF accumulates. In an adult, the skull is rigid and cannot expand, so the pressure in the brain may increase profoundly. Hydrocephalus is a chronic condition. It can be controlled but usually not cured. With appropriate early treatment, however, many people with hydrocephalus lead normal lives with few limitations. I will start a lecture series in which you will get pathophysiology of all the human diseases. Let's move towards another terminology, that is BBB, blood brain barrier. So basically what is this BBB? We all know that blood vessels are critical to deliver oxygen and nutrients to all tissues and organs throughout the body. The blood vessels that vascularize the central nervous system possesses unique properties. They are termed as blood-brain barrier. So what is the role of BBB and why this is so important? This BBB allows blood vessels to tightly regulate the movement of ions and molecules between the blood and the brain. It does not allow the entry of toxins and pathogens. This helps to protect brain tissues from harmful toxins and pathogens. Alterations or damage to these barrier properties may lead to progression of different neurological diseases. Now let's move towards the parts of CNS, that is brain and a spinal cord. In order to study brain, it is divided into three main parts. They are forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. I have made a lecture series of brain anatomy and physiology. Click on this top I button to watch in detail structure and functions of each part of brain. Moving towards another part of CNS, that is spinal cord. The spinal cord is a long, thin tubular structure made up of nervous tissue, which extends from the medulla oblongata in the brainstem to the lumbar region of the vertebral column. Spinal cord forms the lower extension of the medulla oblongata of the brain. Like brain, it is protected by bony coverings and meninges. It lies within the neural canal of vertebral column and is surrounded by meninges as discussed earlier. Dura mater, arachnoid matter, and pia mater. The cerebrospinal fluid secreted by pia mater forms a fluid cushion around the spinal cord and within it inside the central canal. Externally, spinal cord appears as long cylindrical rod 4 to 45 cm long and 2 to 2.5 cm broad. The spinal cord is broadest at its anterior end, gradually tapers into conus medullaris, and continues as a thread-like phylum terminal end posteriorly. Spinal cord shows two swellings along its length called cervical and lumbar swelling. 31 pairs of spinal nerves arise from lateral sides of the spinal cord. These nerves are concentrated in the region of cervical and lumbar swelling and around the conus medullaris. If you see the transverse section of spinal cord, it looks like this. Spinal cord is dorsoventrally flattened due to the presence of deep, narrow posterior fissure and shallow, broad anterior fissure. A central canal can be seen in the center. The fissures divide the spinal cord incompletely into a right and left side. The gray matter is somewhat H-shaped or butterfly shaped and is on the inner side, while the white matter is on the outer side. The fissures divide the gray matter into 6 horns, namely dorsal horn, lateral horn, and ventral horn, while the white matter is divisible into 6 columns or funiculi, namely dorsal, lateral, and ventral funiculi. The dorsal and ventral horns extend out of the spinal cord as a dorsal root and a ventral root of spinal cord respectively. Let's talk about functions of spinal cord. The spinal cord is the main center for most reflex actions. It provides pathway for conduction of sensory and motor impulses to and from the brain. It provides nervous connection to many parts of the body. I will take another separate video to explain detailed anatomy and physiology of spinal cord. The second part of nervous system is peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system connects the central nervous system, that is brain and spinal cord, to the different parts of the body having receptors and effectors. Depending on the connection to the CNS, the peripheral nerves are classified into two main types: cranial nerves connected to the brain and spinal nerves connected to the spinal cord. Let's talk about cranial nerves. These nerves develop from the brain. There are 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Roman numbering 1 to 12 is used to denote them. These nerves originate from or terminate into the brain. According to their functions, these are classified as a sensory 1, 2, 8, motor 3, 4, 6, 11, and 12, and mixed 5, 7, 9, and 10 nerves. Spinal nerves. 31 pairs of spinal nerves originate from the spinal cord. They are mixed nerves and they provide two-way communication between the spinal cord and part of upper and lower limbs, neck, and trunk. As we saw, human nervous system is divided into CNS, PNS, and ANS. PNS consists of network of nerves arising from or going to the CNS. Accordingly, peripheral nerves are classified as afferent nerves and efferent nerves. Afferent nerve fibers transmit sensory impulse from tissue or organ to the CNS, and the efferent nerve fibers transmit regulatory or motor impulses from the CNS to various peripheral tissue and organ. However, according to recent studies, the extent of PNS has been broadened to incorporate the ANS. According to this view, the PNS is divided into somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system relies impulses from CNS to the skeletal or voluntary muscles of the body. Autonomic nervous system transmits impulses from CNS to the involuntary organs and smooth muscles of the body. Autonomic nervous system consists of special set of peripheral nerves that regulate the activities of involuntary organs like cardiac muscles, smooth muscles, glands, etc. In this, impulses are conducted from the central nervous system by an axon that synapses with an autonomous ganglion. Autonomic nervous system consists of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. This is the introductory part 1 of nervous system anatomy. In upcoming lecture series, you will get detailed information about each part of nervous system. If you like this video, then subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon. Do like, comment and share this video. For more update, join the forum and group, visit my Facebook page. For more information, I have provided the link in description below. Have a happy learning.